Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome to this installment of Open Mic, the show where the mic is open, the floor is yours. What do you guys want to talk about in terms of the world of movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all that good stuff that we just love so much? That's what we are here to discuss here today. And there's two different ways that you can get a topic or question for us to address here on Open Mic. One is if you're watching this video in any of the 23 hours of the day that we're not streaming live, you can use our tip link anytime, 24/7 at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. Now, if you are watching live, you can use the super chat feature and send it in. And if you send in a topic or question, and it's appropriate to be used on our show, we will address it here today. I'm joined in studio by Ray Ora.
Yeah.
We got Jonathan Voico.
Hello.
Chris Cars is joining us for an open mic. Good to have Chris here. And most importantly, you guys are here. Now, normally, this time of day, we're recording the John Campea Show. Reality is, this is a really slow news day. Also, there's a lot of the news excited people are kind of focused on whichever side of the argument you're on. There's a former president going to court today. So that's kind of taking up a lot of attention. The movie news is a little bit slow today. So we thought, why don't we just do an open mic earlier than we normally do? So that is what we are doing here today. And it's good to have you guys here join us. Now, before we get started, former president wasn't the only person supposed to be going into court today.
Oh, wait, no.
Or did go into court today, actually. Jonathan Majors. Good old Big Johnny M, as we call him around here.
Do we?
No, we've never called him that.
Johnny M.
I don't know. So he was scheduled to make his trial. His assault trial was supposed to get scheduled today. And it's something that I'm sure from his perspective, he would love to get over and done with and put behind him. I'm sure there's a lot of people who like to get this over and done with. This has been I'm sure Marvel and Disney would love for this trial to get over and done with one way or the other so they can figure out what they're doing. Well, the assault trial, Jonathan Majors, was supposed to start today. However, once they appeared in court, the prosecution asked for a delay, saying that they needed more time for discovery. If you don't know what that means, we'll talk about that in a second. And so the court case will now start 1 month from now on September 6th, which happens to be exactly 1 month before Loki season 2 debuts. Ray was like, why couldn't they have pushed it 2 months and have the trial start? You know what? I won't lie to you. I bet you Disney wouldn't have hated the idea of the trial starting on the same day as Loki season 2 airing. Just no publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah, okay.
As they may say. So, like, a lot of people might be asking, okay, so what's discovery? Why did that delay the court case? So this is an interesting thing. It's also the biggest sin that movies and TV shows usually make in their movies and TV shows whenever there's a court case or a trial happening, right? Because you know what happens. You're watching a movie with a trial going on, and all of a sudden, the prosecution thinks they've got the person done. It's practically over. And then out of nowhere, the defense attorney goes, Your Honor, I would like to enter this into evidence. What? And it changes the course of everything, and everybody's surprised, right? Or call a surprise witness, blah, blah. It's a major staple in most movies.
Judge is
and
like,
TV
order
shows.
in the court, or we'll have order in this court.
And of course, inevitably ending with, I'll allow it.
Yeah, and the judge is actually played by Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
Which is always great.
And nine
Yeah.
out of every 10
go-to
80s
judge.
movies.
Why
It's
is that
science.
your go-to judge? It's Judge Judy, baby.
Judge Reinhold.
I like Judge Reinhold.
He's the go-to 80s and 90s. 9 out of every 10, scientific fact, Ray. 9 out of every 10 movies in the 80s and 90s had Judge Reinhold in it.
I'm a court late bloomer. I only started watching court and interested in it.
You don't know who
recently.
Judge Reinhold is.
No, I
Judge
don't.
Reinhold,
He's
that's
an
his
actor.
name is Judge.
Oh, I thought it was a real judge.
Beverly Hills Cop,
Oh.
Fast Times at Ridgemount High.
Who was the one on
The
People's
Santa
Court?
Claus.
The one
He's Neil.
before. Wapner?
Judge Wapner?
Yeah,
He is-
okay. I mixed the two up. Judge Wapner and Reinhold.
Yeah.
Reinhold is fake.
He's an actor.
He's an
a real
actor.
guy.
His name is
person.
Judge.
He's a real
His
person.
literal
His
first
name is Judge
Yeah.
Reinhold. That's his name. His
Well, there
full
goes
name
my
is
joke.
Judge.
His parents were hoping for this exact moment when they named him.
Yeah.
They're like, this is how we get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
There's my
Anyway,
joke.
continue on with J Mage.
Okay. Big Johnny M.
No, J Mage.
J Mage.
Mage?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's better than Big Johnny M. Actually,
of course.
J
Let me
Mage.
be the nickname.
That word. Yeah, you will be in charge of the
Johnny M.
department of assigning nicknames. So okay, there is something in, and I'm going to super oversimplify this. So, look, there's basically a thing in trials discovery. So, basically, the reason why 9 times out of 10 these court cases and movies and TV shows are bullshit is because you're not allowed to surprise the other side in court. You have to, well, like when you're getting ready for court and trial, you are supposed to show the other side everything you're bringing to court in evidence, right? Like if you're, whatever witnesses you're bringing, you got to show those, give the list of witnesses to the other side. Whatever evidence you're bringing, you got to give a full list and breakdown of the evidence to the other side. Now, can in court a little surprise happen here and there? Yes, but again, I'm oversimplifying it, but generally speaking. So what the prosecution in the J-Mage case is saying is that they needed more time for discovery. Apparently, there are still some documents, there's still some evidence that they need to get and turn over to the defense.
Oh, okay.
So they said they needed more time, so the judge gave them an extra month, and that's why he's not going there. Now, Marvel right now and Disney might have been really hoping this case would have started today because, I mean, it was unlikely, but there was a possibility that maybe the thing could have been done by October 6th had this thing got started today. Because Disney really needs to know, Marvel needs to know, can we move forward with this guy or can we not? Now, they're trying to play it as close to the middle of the line as they can, right? They have not removed him. They even put him in the new trailer for Loki season 2 that didn't really let him speak, didn't let him say much. They had him in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania documentary, but they cut his appearance time in it really down and took out any footage of other actors talking about him. So they're kind of trying to stick it as close to the middle as they can until the court reveals what actually happened. So, you know, they were kind of maybe hoping this would be done by October 6th. If not that, start the damn trial on October 6th. Either way, they need something to happen here.
Is the House of the Mouse, is this the worst we've ever seen Disney in? Like as in with everything that's going on within, like the losing money on movies, the streaming thing, the Marvel.
Oh, it's like, is this the general, like not pertaining to the Jonathan Majors,
no,
but
not
in
just
general.
in whole.
Oh, yeah.
All at once,
Is this the worst
all at once,
that Disney has been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, listen, I've been telling people, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. Like the Bob Chapek
Same with
era,
my rash.
and like when Bob Chapek took over, I told everybody, like, it's going to take a couple of years for us to feel the effects of the new leadership, right? So don't expect to say, if something great happens tomorrow, don't blame or don't give the praise to Bob Chapek. But then years passed, and we saw the results. And even though they removed Bob Chapek, the reality is this year and next year is going to be about the fallout and the consequences and the effects of the leadership decisions that were made under Bob Chapek. And things are bad.
And then the strike too.
And then the strike too.
Oh, wow.
Although, you know, if you listen to David Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers, that saved them $100 million. Well, that's great. That may save you $100 million now, but there's going to be a bill come due in a few months. But I mean, it's not a great time for Disney. This would be one of the things that was not of their making. They didn't create this problem. It's a problem that somebody else brought into their house that they would love to get put behind them.
And from your knowledge of law, this pause or this delay, not necessarily a good thing for Jonathan Majors? Or
no, nor a bad thing.
Okay.
Neither a good nor a bad thing. No, neither.
You can't feel either way about it?
It's just kind of a bad thing for Disney that this is going to drag out the Jonathan Majors drama even longer. But as far as for Jonathan Majors and his chances and stuff like that, it's completely agnostic. It's neither good nor bad. It's completely innocuous, actually. All right. With that all down, guys, let's get over to taking some of your questions here, shall we? We're going to start off by taking questions from the people who sent them into our tip link. So, Chris, does she have those? Yes.
Yes, I do.
Let's start off with those.
From JM None Other. Hello, Mr. Campea. Been watching you since 2012. Because of you, I've started my own podcast and show I have on my YouTube channel back in November last year about sports, movies, and life.
Nice.
I'm now over 10,000 subscribers and going strong because of you.
That is no small thing, man.
My question, and I recently discussed it on my own podcast episode when talking about the union strikes, if unions are paid more, do you think ticket prices will rise to cover the costs of unions, studios handing the burden to the consumer?
Well, okay. That's first of all, congratulations on your podcast and YouTube channel. 10,000 subscribers is huge. That's
See?
awesome. Well done.
And same year I started working with you, 2012.
Is that when he said he started his
Yeah.
podcast? Oh, cool.
So
And-
really, it was Ray.
Oh yeah, probably.
Really
And
Ray
side
inspired.
note, if I was not doing movie stuff, I would 100% be doing
you
sports stuff. That said, there's a nuanced answer to it, because the answer to your question is, if the unions get paid more, will that ultimately get passed on to be paid for by the consumers? The answer to that is yes. However, you also have to keep in mind that the answer is larger than that. Anytime expenses in any area of filmmaking or television production goes up, those expenses will ultimately be paid by the consumer, whether it's actors' salaries going up, whether it's the cost per hour of visual effects labor, whether it's the buying of new land for expansion of studios, whether it's executives getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, whether it's, taxes, whatever. So yeah, it'll raise the prices. Ultimately, we're the ones who are going to pay for it. But that's true of every single category and area of the entertainment business. Who do you think pays for everything? We do. You do. I do. We're the ones who pay for everything. Bob Chapek's salary, Bob Iger's salary, Ryan Reynolds's lucrative, not counting Mint Mobile and whatever, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's money, Tom Cruise's money. We all pay for it. That's us who pays for it. So don't blame that on the writers or the actors. It's just the cost of doing business.
Well, and that's also why all these things from the WGA and SAG-AFTRA have said, hey, would you like to see how much money the studio takes in for revenue when we do these things? Here's a pie chart.
Right.
You see this tiny little sliver? There's us. All the rest of this is the studio. There's a reason why we are posting those things, so you, the consumer, are aware about where the money's going.
All right, what's next?
From Mihario, what's the difference between residuals and back-end points for actors?
Okay,
that's a
so
great question.
going to oversimplify this again, and then I want Chris to give a more nuanced answer on the residuals part.
We'll see.
Back-end
I won't
points.
say about that.
Back-end points is a individual contract by individual contact from person to person basis. For example, the late, great, iconic, and immortal Alec Guinness, when he signed on to do Star Wars, which, by the way, him included, many people thought was far beneath him to do some little fantasy space little boys movie. But he got points on it, which basically said, whatever amount of money this movie makes, you get X percentage of that money. Flash forward now to a more modern situation, something like a Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. got points on the movie, which basically said he get X amount percentage of whatever the box office is, right? So Robert Downey Jr. took a little bit of a lower upfront salary in order to get points. Well, the Avengers movies, I don't know if you heard, did okay. And infamously, like for one movie, he ended up getting $50 million. Not because he signed a contract for $50 million. No studio would give him that. But he got whatever his salary was, plus the points on the movie. Now, residuals, on the other hand, is about after first market revenue generated by a project. So let's take, for example, let's stick with Seinfeld, right? Under the old traditional model of residuals, the actors from Seinfeld got paid X amount of dollars. I think they were the first show where the actors, and it wasn't at the beginning, it was much later during a successful run where the actors were ending up getting like $1 million per episode. I think they might have been the first show to do that. A better hit television, I might be thinking of the wrong show. At any rate. So as the show is playing, right, as it's doing its initial airing, they're not getting residuals because it's the first run. It's what the show was. That's what their contracts for. That's what their salaries were for. They got paid for that. However, later, as the show was done, completed, then other broadcasting companies, other little local networks all over the world started buying the rights to run Seinfeld in syndication, right? After the fact. Take all their episodes, whatever, run it. And whenever that happened, money was generated. Licensing fees were being paid and all that kind of stuff. And actors, like the ones in Seinfeld, were entitled to a residual of the money made after the first market appearance. So that would come back in and all that kind of stuff. So that's the primary difference between points, which is a case-by-case, individual person by individual person basis that may or may not be able to negotiate that into the contract on the first run of a movie. Residuals is something that comes after first market. Anyway, Chris, how would you fill in the blanks there or color in?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Residuals just come down to once you've made it, the product is making money still. So we're getting those little tiny percentages throughout.
Right.
And that's the key issue here too, right? Of a lot of actors can negotiate for back end points. There's certain things too that don't have residuals whatsoever. Most of the things that I do don't have residuals. Industrials, video games. I'm real smart. I'm a real great savvy business person.
Let me ask you a question, because I am curious about that. I've given this no thought, so I would love to know what your first reaction to this would be. Okay, so the question brought up about the difference between points and residuals. With points, I mentioned that sometimes actors will agree to take less money up front in exchange for points. In that situation, an actor's rolling the dice a bit. They're
Yes.
taking a risk. They're like, if they believe the movie's going to make money, they'll go, okay, instead of getting paid my fee of $4 million, I'll take 1.5, but I want 2 points, 2 percentage points of the, right? They can negotiate
Yeah,
that.
you can negotiate that.
There's probably a million problems with this. Is there a world where something like that could be brought to the discussion of residuals, where maybe on a cast on a show, the producers could go and say, okay, our base offer is this much money paid to you in salary per episode with this degree of residuals to come down the line should the show generate more revenue down the line. Or we could give you a higher rate of residuals for money that gets generated later if you will take a lower salary now. Could there be benefit to that for actors, or is
Potentially.
I have never given it any thought, so I just don't know.
It potentially could. We do have something like that with audiobooks where there's
Really?
paid per finished hour or paid per finished hour plus royalty shares. Basically, I'll tell my students that's the Hannah Montana. That's the best of both worlds situation if you have a good book. So paid per finished hour in audiobook terms means you are paid for the perfect edited hour. Now, I don't know about you. I usually flub when I'm speaking as a human being. So my perfect hour takes a little longer than an hour to get
Right.
to, especially if I'm editing things and checking sound quality, if I'm doing the editing on my own, or even if I'm handing it off to an editor. So that's one of the things people have to take into consideration is how long it takes for them to do that, because you'll see a pay rate of like, oh, they're making $275 per hour. Nope, per finished hour.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. But you can get royalties on the back end, though, if the book sells well. I've done that before with things that have not sold at all. So I could see them maybe using that as a negotiation tactic down the line. I would assume that would still be with your, top 10 on your call sheet. You wouldn't be doing that with your average journeyman actor of, hey, guest star, do you want to work for this daily rate or do you want this down the line? I feel like that's something you would do with your more A-lister folks, I would
Got
suppose.
it. Okay. All right. What's next?
From, Miero again. Do you think Will Smith needs a Les Grossman-like type of role to make a full comeback from The Slap?
I honestly think it's just going to take a little bit of time. And honestly, what do we always say here? Winning cures everything. If Bad Boys 4, which they really should not have called Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life. They should have called it Bad Boys 4 Life. They should have saved that title for the fourth one.
save it.
Not that they would have known they would have got a fourth one done. But look, the reality is, if the fourth one comes out and is amazing and funny, on par with or even better than number 3, that's going to go a long way to people getting over it. Because listen, Tom Cruise, I still contend Tom Cruise doing Les Grossman completely 100% saved his career. I think his career was completely going in the wrong direction at the time. His image was not so great at the time, and Les Grossman saved it. But it's not just that he did Les Grossman, it's that the movie was great. If he did Les Grossman, but the movie wasn't very good and it wasn't funny what he was doing, wouldn't have saved anything. And I will go so far as to say this too. If Emancipation had been a better movie, if Emancipation had been as good as maybe it looked like it could have been, I think it could have done a lot for it too. But the reality was the movie wasn't that great. It wasn't bad, but it really wasn't that great. So I think it's just going to take a little bit of time and, 1 or 2 real big winners for him. I'm not even talking big box office. I mean, just movies that generally people really saw and thought he was great in. I think that's what it'll take. All right, what's next?
From Anonymous, wish I could afford to argue with you more about Rotten Tomatoes critic score because I think you are at your best arguing. I do think your arguments in this case are wrong with a lot of conflating, but I hope I didn't come across combative and sorry if I did. Thanks for your time and the content. How will he know who you are, Anonymous?
It's yeah, I can't remember the name of the person who would send it in. No, it's a good, respectful debate. That's good, respectful debate is the foundation of growing our understanding and knowledge of everything too. Like many times on our show, how many times have you seen me go, you know what? You changed my mind. Like it happens. Like when somebody brings up a good piece of information or a good fact or good whatever. So
I've never done that.
That's
That's my goal in life,
it's to stay
enlighten
strong.
you about something, but nah.
Stay strong, Ray. But I mean, so the basic of the argument was this: that the discussion started with, well, if all film is subjective, that means critic scores don't really mean anything. You know, audience scores are more important. Well, no, audience scores are subjective as well. Critics, I prefer the opinion of critics because these are people. How do I put it this way? If I want to ask somebody for a recommendation of a good steak restaurant in town, everybody's opinion on that has value, but I'm personally going to give a little bit more weight to the opinion of the person who eats in steak restaurants 4 days out of the 7 days out of a week, rather than the opinion of a person who's eaten steak 4 times this year, right? Yeah, that's where Ray comes in.
I am steak, baby.
I am steak. So it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense. Will I take, I don't know, Anne's opinion on the best laptop for me to get because she really likes this one? Of course, that has value to me. However, Marquise Brownlee, MKBHD, I'm going to take his opinion a little bit more. I'm going to give more weight to his opinion because he uses every single piece of technology out there and every single laptop that comes out. Both have value. Both have a place and some weight. What?
I hear something.
What?
Divorce.
I hear divorce. The sounds of divorce. Yep. Trump and Jay Majors aren't the only ones going to court. So I think, yeah. And in movies, I don't think it's any different. Yeah. Audiences have subjective opinions. Critics have subjective opinions, but I will always give a little bit more weight to that of the critics because they're the ones who watch 150 movies a year. And again, all of them have value, but that's why I give more weight to that. All right, what's next?
From Garden Variety Vagabond, John, I must admit I am captivated by Gal Gadot like almost no other. You comment on her lack of movies. I believe it is in part by choice as she finds being a mother to her 3 young children the center of her life.
It's not. Oh,
Look, I
can't.
didn't know you and Gal talked about this.
Yeah. No, I mean, that stuff, there was a part of that, but she has not been offered significant roles. I always struggle about what you can and can't say. But it's also a part of the fact that she can't lead a movie. She is not a strong actress. She's not a terrible actress. She used to be a terrible actress. She's not anymore. She's getting better.
Do you put her in this the Haywire type of movie position still, or is she a little bit above that? Because Gina Carano.
Yeah, that where they actually had to have somebody else do her
still put her
dialogue
at
because
that
she
level?
was so bad.
Yeah, do you still put her at that level?
No, she's
Okay.
better than that. Like,
Okay.
let's put it this way: if I'm a producer and I have a second or third tier character in a movie, and I need an actress for a second tier character or a third tier, I'd be very comfortable having. I think I would be comfortable having her in that role. But again, I keep going back to Keeping Up with the Joneses. A movie that did not get reviewed well, and I don't think that was fair, because I think that movie was better than people give it credit for. And I think she does not get talked about enough in that movie. I think she's like John Cena. I really do. I think she has a mountain of natural born charisma and charm. It's impossible to hear her talk in real life and not like her. And I find people that have that ability tend to translate that well into comedy on screen. And I honestly believe her best performance was in Keeping Up with the Joneses. I really legitimately thought she was really good in it because she's got that charm. She's got that charisma. And I think they keep trying to make her a real actress. Just like I don't think you can turn John Cena into a real actor. What I mean by that is you can't go and drop John Cena into the next you can't put John Cena in Killers of the Flower Moon. All right? You can't. I love John Cena.
Someone do it, please.
I love John Cena. I love watching John Cena, but that's not the place for him. And I feel like they learned that lesson with John Cena, and now they're really capitalizing on John Cena, putting him in positions that allow his true strengths to shine. I feel like Gal Gadot's management have never put her in the position to give her the best chances of really shining and really succeeding. But again, that's just my point.
Right.
Everybody has a different point of view of it. That just happens to be mine. All right, what's next?
From Mad Chad, John, Variety has Leonardo DiCaprio as one of the top contenders for Best Actor this year for Killers of the Flower Moon. The film killed at Cannes and his performance was raved about. Is there an argument for him to be considered the best actor of his era?
Why is that so funny?
Is his name Matt Shat?
No, Mad Chad.
Oh, I thought it was Matt Shat from SNL. Oh, okay. I was laughing because I thought he said Matt Shat. Everyone
Matt
knows
Shat
that kid.
has God's mistress. By the way, if you've not seen that, it's the Margot Robbie sketch on SNL. Go look up Matt. If you have one of the funniest sketches they've ever done, Matt Shat with Margot Robbie, look it up. So there is an argument to be made for it. There's an argument. As it depends on when you define the era beginning, because right now we live in a period of time where, like if you look at right now, and the actor's still going right now, we don't have the GOAT, right? Daniel Day-Lewis is retired. Now, if your term of era overlaps with any year that Daniel Day-Lewis is still working, then no. Not only cannot Leonardo DiCaprio, nobody can be considered the best of the era. That's Daniel Day-Lewis. Nothing comes close. But right now, I don't think it's definitive. I think there's an argument to be made for it. Chris, if you had to sit down right now and we had to say, okay, so right now, who is the best actor of our era? Like, is it fair to say that DiCaprio would have to be in the conversation?
He'd be in the conversation for sure. But what a wildly subjective thing to say.
Sure.
No,
Of
it's
course,
objective.
yeah.
There is a true answer.
Matt Damon.
No.
It's Judge Reinhold?
Yes.
It's Judge Reinhold.
Matt Damon, baby.
Really?
I really like him as an actor.
I love him as an actor, but is he the greatest actor of our era?
Well, it's my opinion.
Okay, that's fair.
He's made me feel
You're not
things in
entitled
other
to it.
movies, you know. So I judge that all. Like if he could make me happy, make me sad, make me cry, that's a good actor, and he's done that the most for me.
You know what Leonardo DiCaprio's never done?
Huh?
Bought a zoo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Just gonna say that. Throw that. Who else would you put on that list, Chris?
I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis would have been on that list, but he's now like cobbling shoes or something.
Yeah,
'cause
he's
he got-
retired,
he
so
got
you
bored.
take him off the board. Otherwise, you just give it to him. But
Yeah.
who else? Jake Gyllenhaal has
He's
turned in
very,
some
very
spectacular
good.
performances.
We're talking about current, like in the
Yeah,
like,
right now,
still
working
headlining.
today.
I think the thing with Leo is he's got some exclusivity that he makes. Like he picks his movies like very once in a
And
while.
that's what Daniel Day-Lewis did.
Yeah, but
it's a good move.
like I don't think he's a great actor. He's one of the best, but he hasn't made me go through the motions like other actors have. Like
Have you seen the one he did to win his Academy Award?
the
one with the bear?
with the grizzly bear
Yeah,
one.
The
No, I
Red-
haven't seen that
Grizzly
one
Bear
yet.
that might change your mind. That
I
might
love the
change your
Grizzly
mind.
Bear.
Okay.
All right.
What was it called?
Grizzly
The
Bear.
Revenant?
It's what's called
Yeah.
it's called Grizzly,
Grizzly
Bear.
Bear.
Look it up.
All right,
It's the prequel
What's
to Cocaine Bear. It's really good.
the prequel to Cocaine
Yeah.
Bear. Yes.
It's a really good one. From
What's next?
Joshing Around.
Like us.
Greetings, John and crew. How do you have people call you too picky for picking out small details like writing, flaws, and etc. in movies? Do you have a usual response to them?
Whenever somebody says,
I say that to you all the time.
and yeah, you can take this in any area of life. Whenever somebody says to you in life, you're too picky, that generally is them showing their hand that I'm a big fan of this movie and I don't want any criticism said about it.
Yep,
That's what that is.
that's me.
That's what that is. Like, for instance, sometimes when I'm talking about my drawbacks of a movie, I'll mention some small details and I'll say, hey, this one's a small one, but this, and this, whatever. But yeah, generally speaking, what happens is, here's the problem with us as movie fans, and we're all guilty of it. All right, we're all guilty. I'm guilty of
We're
this.
all the same.
We're
We
all
are
the
all
same.
the same. We all
But-
sound the same.
Here's the thing. People get so wrapped up in the movies they like or the TV shows they like, that they begin to identify with it. And therefore, any criticism about the movies or TV shows they like, they take as criticisms on themselves. They take it personally. And therefore, they want to undermine any criticisms about any TV show or movie. So you can bring up a legitimate criticism about a TV show or movie, and somebody say, you're just being too picky. Well, that's not saying that it's not a negative. Like if I point out, the guy who played the lead's wife in it just wasn't believable, never brought me. Oh, you're just being too picky. You're just nitpicking. Well, I notice you're not saying that it's not true. I'm just pointing out that that's one of the downsides. That's one of the things. Yeah. So basically, whenever I hear somebody say to me, you're being too picky, that's really them saying, I don't want to hear any criticism about this movie. And then I just kind of let it go. All right. What's next?
From Mark Woodhouse, there are 22 screens in my town between 2 theaters, and come Friday, Mission Impossible 7 won't be on any of them. 3 weekends and out just like The Flash.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, it's still in theaters around here.
Yeah.
It's still playing. And actually, let me double check this. But as I go over and look at the old box office mojo, why? Oh, that's why. Okay. Let's see here.
I was hoping it'd get a resurgent like
After the storm.
Top
Like a bit
Gun
of a push?
got, where they'd push it back into IMAX once Oppenheimer left, but that doesn't seem to be happening. I'm only on MI5, so
I mean, it's made over $450 million already, and it's still chugging along.
Yeah. It's gonna make that Mission Impossible.
So look, every market will be different, but I have no doubt that Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is still going to be on a lot of screens this weekend, coming this weekend. For its 4th weekend, like this weekend, it was still on 3,100 screens. It'll still be on a lot of screens. Like maybe not every screen, they're going to be making movie stuff, but I'm going to tell you this. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is still going to be making more money than a bunch of movies, but but listen, that is also part of the reality of the modern movie-going patterns, is that more and more movies are becoming front-end loaded, right? Not all of them. There are some very big exceptions to that. That Top Gun, another Tom Cruise movie, is an example of that. But with it being still on 3,100 screens now, it's still going to be in a lot of theaters near you. It's weird that's not going to be in any of those 2 theaters, but it will be in a lot others still. All right, what's next?
From Erickson Garcia, 1 of 2. It seems Paramount never had plans to bring back Travis Knight, or they parted ways early on. As in an interview made in June with Steve Carell Jr., he said he was asked to do the next Transformers movie 2 months after Bumblebee came out. What's interesting to me is that when Steve Carell Jr. said that at the time he was approached, it was going to be a Bumblebee 2, but he passed on it. He only came back a year later when Paramount said they wanted to go in a different direction.
Well, that's interesting to hear.
That really kind of sucks.
I mean, I really haven't heard much of what Travis Knight has done since Bumblebee 2, which is odd because he did Kubo and the Two Strings, which was magnificent. He did Bumblebee 2, which is the best Transformers movie ever made.
And I believe it made like 480, when it was said and done, like 480 million.
Yeah, and remember, it would have made a lot more, except Michael Bay had run the Transformers brand into the ground, and nobody wanted to watch Transformers anymore. And then it was in that environment that Travis Knight came out and made the best Transformers movie ever.
With that cliffhanger.
Well, it wasn't really a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but everyone loves seeing that old school
but it wasn't a cliffhanger. It was an open door, right? But
something bigger. Could have been something bigger.
But I mean, I don't know why they didn't decide to go forward with the Bumblebee 2. I think they could have built on the momentum of the critical and the audience embracing that movie. It was a big mistake. Not to get Capel Jr. That wasn't the mistake. The mistake was to go Beast Wars. That was a mistake. Capel made a good movie. Right? Beast Wars is a good movie. I liked it. But the general perception amongst a lot of people I talked to was, oh, it's not Bumblebee 2. It looked like they were going back to the Michael Bay movies. And it didn't, but that's what it looked like. And I just think it would have been a better idea to go forward with the Bumblebee 2.
That sucks.
So that's it. That's it for tips. Do you want to take a break before?
Yeah, why don't we take a break right now? We're going to thank the sponsor of today's episode, my mobile service provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode. All right, with that down, let's go over to the super chats that our members and our live viewers have been sending in. So, Chris, what do we got in there?
From Thomas, or wait, I forgot
the
how we do
everything-
these. Everything
the bottom up.
Entertainment, the Everything Entertainment Network. There we go. We can fix this in post, right? We
Yeah.
don't do live anymore.
I'm editing live.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I understand showing confidence in their product, but did jumping up and down declaring Flash the greatest superhero film of all time create too high expectations for fans?
Well, I mean, first of all, you gotta understand one thing. It's not like they put together a marketing campaign that declared Flash to be the greatest superhero movie of all time. All right. Now, James Gunn, who had nothing to do with the making of the movie, said he thought it was one of the best superhero movies he's ever seen. I think David Zaslav said, I think it's the greatest comic book movie of all time. But it's not like the phrasing of they were jumping up and down yelling, this is the greatest, like that kind of implies that they plastered that on billboards and they ran that on all the cars that this is the single greatest comic book movie. Here's the problem, though. It's the problem with The Flash and its failure at the box office had nothing to do with expectations. Because, I mean, if you can look it up for me, Ray,
Yeah.
what did the Flash, first of all, the critic score, which was way lower than I think it should be, but what did the audience score for Flash end up being?
sorry.
The verified
I got it
audience
here.
score for
I got
that.
it because my mouse.
Yeah,
was-
it's 64% is the critic score and 83 is the audience.
Yeah. So the problem wasn't that the problem was people did not go see it. That has nothing to do with expectations. Right? That's that, or let me rephrase that. That has nothing to do with expectations being too high. Right? Expectations being too high is, hey, 100 million people, $100 million worth of people went to go see it opening weekend, but only 40% of them liked it. That could be a problem with expectations being too high. Nobody went to go see it because nobody cares about DCEU. It is a brand that has failed in its last 6 movies over the last 5 years to have any movie crack the $400 million mark. None. Not one.
Not one.
So, I mean, that ultimately is a problem. Again, we could sit here and discuss whether high expectations were the problem if it had a $100 million opening weekend, but nobody liked it. The problem was, nobody went to go see it. And those who did see it seemed to like it. So no, the problem wasn't, it had problems, but the problem wasn't high expectations. All right, what's next?
From Thomas, saw TMNT in 3D. The light loss was the worst I ever experienced. Was almost unwatchable. Saw it again in 2D and could enjoy the art style. Loved it.
That I will never voluntarily go to a 3D movie. If there's a movie I really want to see and the only option I have is 3D, maybe. But I just hate the idea of going into a movie where a director and a cinematographer and then the colorists and the post-production people went through all this work to create this rich, vivid, immersive image on screen for me to enjoy. And then the first thing I'm going to need to do is put tinted film over my eyes when I sit down in the theater. I will never go to a 3D movie voluntarily. That being said, you need, even though it does, people just think, well, just turn up the brightness. That doesn't actually fix the problem, but it does alleviate one of the other, like the problem of it just being too dark, it can fix that. There's no excuse for that. Like if you're running a movie theater, you got to understand how you need to project a movie so people can see it and understand. Because I've seen the movie a couple of times now. I never felt like it was a dark movie. So, Chris, you saw it last night. Was it a 3D screening or not?
4DX.
It was 3DX. What was your experience like watching it?
I loved it. And I usually hate 4DX. I had a great time. Logan really loves
Wait, it was
those.
4DX
4DX.
in 3D.
Yeah, so we had the 3D lenses and then
Okay.
the chairs moving around.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just the
Yeah.
motion. There was
No.
3D there too?
We had 3D glasses.
Yeah, not
and-
all 4DX movies are 3D.
Correct.
Yeah.
But so we had the 3D lenses and then the movie chairs. And it was great. I thought the movie looked beautiful. I had a blast. I'm sorry that person had a bad experience. Hopefully
Yeah,
that
that
was
sucks.
just the theater. Still doesn't make it great for you, so that's a bummer. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, John, you know what Cinemark has too? Have you heard
Tables
of this?
in front of the chairs.
No. They have Regals have 4DX. Cinemark has their own. It's called D-Box.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so let's get that D in that box, baby.
Get your D in a box.
Did you just say to get my D in the box?
Not yours per se. Just
What are
A.
you talking about? I'm just talking about D-Box.
Yeah, talking about theater, man.
There's
Movie
no message in
Gosh.
there that.
By the way, the message is go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
It's actually pretty damn delightful. It's really, really
Delightful box.
good.
D-Box. Oh, yeah, that's what it stands for.
It's my dick in a box. Okay, what's next?
From Dildar, the glorious.
Oh, Dildar in a box.
Anyone gonna play Baldur's Gate 3 today?
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Anyone gonna play Baldur's Gate 3 today? I can't wait to finally play the full game after years of early access. You can romance a bear and it's filthy. What?
I'll tell you what.
The Canadians are gonna love that. Your people have a whole book on this.
To play that so bad.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever been more excited for a video game. I saw them doing demos of this 2 years ago.
And they look better now.
It is supposed to be the most accurate experience to experience comparison of just actually sitting down and playing Dungeons and Dragons. And when I saw the demos of it, I got real excited. And then I heard coming in a couple of years. I'm like, oh, but here we are. And I think today, after my dentist appointment, when I go get the other half of my mouth cleaned, I think it's going to be time to. Actually, can I get you to come over and we can download PS5 and try playing?
Yeah. Oh, no. It's not out on PS. Here's the problem. Today, August 3rd, PC version comes out.
Okay, we'll load up on the PC
yes-
in there then.
That's why yesterday I went to go check my PC if it's still running because I
Your
don't think
PC
I
will
could
not
wait.
be able to run that
good
game.
PC?
I can't wait for the Xbox version to come out. They don't have any date yet because they're trying to implement split screen on it, and the developer won't release it without split screen. It's like a requirement, and so they're having trouble implementing that to the lesser Xbox, the Series S. So the PlayStation 5 version comes out on September 6th. That's why I was joking. Hey, does Jonathan Majors or does the prosecution of Majors
Have
Play
anything to
Baldur's
do
Gate.
with that?
not like Baldur's Gate because they're like really cock blocking?
By the way, little bit of rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to ask the question to yourself, I don't know if my computer will still start up. It probably won't run the newest games.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that just as a general rule of thumb. If you got to go check to see if your PC will still turn on,
I'm just telling you, I'm
probably
excited.
not going to run the
I'm
newest
excited for
AAA
the
game.
It just
I'm
blows
very
dust
excited
out
for
the
this
fan
game,
when he
actually.
turns it on. And
All right, what's
We're
next?
just gonna gloss over that romancing a bear part, though.
Well, there's probably like you can probably play a character that's
No,
like
I heard that you could romance actual animals in the game,
really.
which is
Well,
like
there is a spell.
They
crazy.
There
they
is a
read
spell
Marion
in
Engel.
in
can we wrap the show up?
I
I'm
believe
gonna go
5e.
download
There is a
Baldur's Gate.
spell in there where you can do that. Anyway,
I'm gonna.
all right. What's
Remnant.
next?
Oh man! Usually to romance a bear, you have to go to West Hollywood and get them drinks first. So
Oh, only people living in LA will get
Yep.
that.
go to the Abbey, have fun. Caleb Jacobs, what are your thoughts on Matthew Perry's Odd Couple remake with Thomas Lennon that lasted 3 seasons on CBS? I thought it was good.
Okay, I really like Matthew Perry. I love Thomas Lennon. I've never heard of this show.
Yeah, me either.
I didn't know it lasted 3 seasons. I remember seeing promos for it.
I didn't know it
I didn't
existed.
watch
Was it on air like primetime TV or was it just streaming?
No,
No,
this
it was on.
It
It was on network.
CBS, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was network.
I had never even heard of it. And I love both those guys. Oh, well. All right. What's next?
From Caleb Jacob. Oh, sorry, that. Robert Meyer Burnett.
What?
I doubt it,
No,
but let's go
I don't
ahead.
believe you. How can you tell that ghosts can't harm people? There would be a lot less. Okay.
What was the punchline?
I don't get it because ghosts are white.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Kyle Schneider, off to see Meg 2 in an hour. I can't wait. Have fun with the Meg.
I
Meg?
ruined Ray's day today when I came in and let him know that he needed to go
Go
see Meg
the
2 tonight.
Yeah, the Meg 2.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not really looking forward to watching it.
I am. I like
You
the
can
first
carry
Meg.
the enthusiasm for both of us then.
I like the first Meg. So
Yes, I didn't like I love Jason Statham, but I didn't like the first Meg.
I love giant sharks. I hate the
Oh,
ocean.
we're having that focus thing again with.
Oh, sorry. I love giant sharks, but I hate the ocean.
See, Ray loves to go far back in his chair and let the turtles take over.
Because
And-
it's open mic.
He
baby.
doesn't. Yeah, but you got to be close to your mic when you talk.
Okay.
swing the mic out.
All right, what's next?
From Casinema. Had a double feature yesterday. Not Barbenheimer, but Turtleheimer. Kind of works since the turtles were created by radioactive material.
Hey, man, do
See,
your own thing. That's
that
what I
one,
say.
There's a bit more congruency there, I feel, honestly.
That's a good double header.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turtleheimer.
By the way, any combination of the three will work. Those are three very good movies in theaters right now. All right, what's next?
From Daily Prophet. Hey, do you know if George Lucas and Lucasfilm have a good relationship on set writer's room? Or is he just off in the distance somewhere?
No, George Lucas doesn't come in and give any input on anything,
No.
but we've seen before when there have been like things that productions they have going on that once in a while we'll see photos that they invite George Lucas down to visit the set and stuff like this. From everything that I understand, despite some reports that came out a few years ago, him and Kathleen Kennedy are still apparently very close, despite what some things were said. But he gets invited to go to things. But he doesn't go into the writer's room and pitch ideas or anything
No.
like that.
They paid him billions of dollars so he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that's it. Many billions of $4 billion.
Yeah, you have $4 billion, so now you don't come in the writer's room. Yep.
But they can still invite him if they want.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Mega Red 555. Hey Ray, I wrote in on Tuesday about not knowing anything about TMNT. I saw the new movie and loved it. Can you tell me about Shredder? Is he like a robot ninja assassin? What's his deal?
We can't give away any spoilers though, right?
Yeah, well, oh, yeah.
Well, it's too late.
out there.
Too late now. So
You know what? That's what me and Chris were talking about before, because the origins of Shredder is way different, and it looks like it's going to be way different in
Yep.
this one. All I could say is that he looks like a hired assassin, I guess, maybe. So,
It seems like they're setting him up to be more of this hired gun.
yeah, like a private investigator or something.
In previous iterations of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sometimes Splinter was a man who became a rat. Other times he is a rat who had a master who was, or an owner, I should suppose, who was a like martial arts master who had beef with Shredder. And either way, what ultimately happens is that Splinter then has beef with Shredder and all this other stuff. But now, I don't know how
they're
they're gonna do
completely
that.
divorced from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like no, I don't know how that's going to be if they make a second one and that's the way it's going to go. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he liked it. So,
All right, what's next?
From Ron H. Any chance you saw the trailer for Netflix's One Piece show? If yes, did it sway you? As a fan of the anime, the trailer worked for me. Hope I enjoyed the show as much as I did the trailer.
I have not watched it. I don't have personally any interest in it,
We
but
watched
you've
it.
seen it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I've already decided I'm not going to go to the anime because there's so many episodes. I'm going to let this decide for me, this live action, if I'm interested in going back and watching the anime.
Right.
So I'm going reverse. So I am interested. It got my attention. I'm going to watch it.
Chris,
At least
what
the
about
first
you?
episode.
I've seen some of the anime, and I think the anime is super fun, and the trailer looked really, really fun to me. I know some people were upset with the aesthetics of it. Anime is really hard to translate into live action, and One Piece does have a lot of goofy, ridiculous stuff. I mean, he eats demon fruit that gives him gum powers and stuff, where he can, like, he's Stretch Armstrong, you know? Mr. Fantastic didn't always look good in live action either. So there's going to be some issues here with people kind of buying into the reality of it, but it looks cool, and all of their set pieces are practical. I think that really is beautiful. When you see them too, they look really, really rad and creative. So I think it'll be fun.
All right, what's next?
From Abe 10 Alpha. I loved Barbenheimer. I especially loved when Barbenheimer said, "Now I am become Barbie in a Barbie world."
It's
That's a good line.
What?
it's
Yeah.
really incredible. You could like
think
the
he actually thinks
Barbenheimer
that's one
weekend
movie.
very well could end up. It probably will end up getting. Those are going to be 2 of the 10 nominated films for Best Picture at the end of the year. Unfortunately, unlike Mario Brothers, you probably aren't going to get a song from Oppenheimer to compete with "I'm Just Ken" or "Peaches," but fabulous movies nonetheless.
This weekend, another big showdown. Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, Mutant Megham.
We'll just wait.
Ray, you
Thank
know I just created that department where you could create the nicknames? Yeah, I'm shutting that department down. It's now gone.
Bye, buddy.
It is no more. All right. What's next?
Oh, also, correction. Carmela corrected me in the chat. Devil fruit, not demon fruit. Gosh, I'm a fake anime girl.
You don't even watch it.
Embarrassing.
You never even
Oh
seen
my
it.
gosh, I've only voiced them, and I make a point.
She's
to
been
not say
outed.
it.
She doesn't even see it.
No.
She's never seen it.
Thank you, Carmela.
All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, Mutant Mayhem was great. The Turtles, Ice Cube, and Jackie Chan killed it. Also, that one Splinter scene reminded me of Ms. Marvel's dad in the Hulk outfit. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we won't talk about what the scene is.
I don't know what he's talking about right now, and it's making me mad.
I'll talk to you after the show.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty it's pretty awesome. But here's the thing. By the way, the Chris joke was fantastic in it. So I was completely taken aback by just how charming it was. Like Jackie Chan doing the voice was way better than I thought it would be. Because honestly, I thought, well, why does it need to be Jackie Chan doing the voice? I mean, I want to see Jackie Chan, but wow. Like him doing the voice of Splinter was so good. Superfly was my favorite character in the movie. I thought he was great. All of Superfly's family were amazing. All the turtles were great. I ended up loving April.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I ended up loving April's character. Her nickname and what caused it is amazing. Like I laughed just as hard, if not harder, the second time I saw the movie with her. For those of you who've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. I was really, really pleasantly surprised by this film, and I might even go see it again. I might go see it a third time.
I definitely want to.
Did you hear that guy in front of us at our showing last night? That guy gave me a kick because he had like the loudest laugh like in front of us.
Yeah.
Like every time something happened, it was just like it was so genuine. It was just really nice to hear people enjoy a movie.
I wish more people were in the theater last night. Granted, it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It was a 10 p.m.
15.
screening.
10:15
p.m. screening
Oof.
on a Wednesday. I still was hoping to see more
No.
people in there, but still.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
What's next?
From Casidima. I love Turtles and Oppenheimer. Oppie is one of Nolan's best, and I didn't expect Turtles to end the way it did. Curious how they plan to handle you know who. Us too?
Voldemort?
Yep,
Yeah, it's a
Voldemort.
weird crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it. Again, what else can we say about it? It's great. And by the way, I think Oppenheimer is now my favorite Christopher Nolan film. I think it is my favorite Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan film. I think it may have surpassed Insomnia for me as my favorite Christopher Nolan film. It's just it's a movie that haunts you. You know, I think about almost every scene in the movie, whether it's the scene with the apple or the scene where Kenneth Branagh shows up, or the scene where he first encounters Einstein, or the scene where he first meets Matt Damon, or the scene where he first meets Josh Hartnett, or the scene where him and Emily Blunt are having it out over something that he did, over the grinding the metal horse scene, or the redemption arc. I mean,
I'll never
there's
forget
so
about that.
many scenes in that movie that I just constantly find myself thinking about. I've never felt that way about any of Nolan's films before. Not many films in general at all. I really do think it
Credit
might be
to
his best.
Killian too.
Oh, Cillian Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah,
just-
yeah. Like
He's probably going to get nominated for best
yeah,
actor.
he has.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's so.
Robert Downey Jr. will 100% get nominated for best supporting actor.
And he's no longer Iron Man to me. He's the piece of
He's that asshole in Oppenheimer. All right, what's next?
From Mega Red 555, Chris, hi. Great to have you on Open Mic. Thank you. Can you talk about how you got into voice acting? Sure. Honestly, it was a huge accident. I've always loved voice acting. I've really enjoyed it, and I've always loved cartoons and everything. I was a theater actor in Houston. I had somebody come into the bar that I was working at. I was really nice and a great server and let them talk about how rough their workday was. And they kept talking about how they were having all those problems with their team over in Japan. So I just assumed he was an international businessman. And I learned that it was actually, he was working on a dub. The great Stephen Foster, who's a wonderful, wonderful dub director for Sentai Filmworks. And we kept talking, and my barback finally was like, hey, she's got to do her job, so just hire her or don't. And so then Stephen was like, hey, yeah, come in tomorrow and audition for me. And I went in and I read for him, and he was like, oh, yeah, you're good. Let's just use you. And so then I was in the anime for Starship Troopers, and then I did like 13 other shows with him, and that's how I got started in voiceover.
That's an awesome
That
story.
was a movie, right? The Starship Trooper one?
It started as a movie. I wasn't in that. I was little in that. But they...
No, I meant the anime movie.
Oh, yeah. They did several of them because Casper has produced a whole bunch of those. He loves those movies.
Okay.
But yeah, so be nice to everyone you meet because somebody might just offer you a job because they like that you're nice.
That's how Pamela Anderson got discovered.
You
It's
know,
true.
when I think about my career, I always compare it to Pamela Anderson's. I'm always like, same trajectory.
But I mean, that's how Pamela Anderson got discovered, right? So it was, yeah, you and Pamela Anderson, a career path.
When you
that
think
came-
of two women who are identical, you're like, Chris and Pam. You don't even
right.
think about Tommy first.
What's next?
From Devin Lita. I was surprised to find out you had your main show live on YouTube yesterday. Welcome back. What happened?
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
that was-
kidding.
It was just, it was a matter of that was the way our day was going to flow better yesterday. Like when we came in, we looked at the like what was happening in the day and stuff like that. We just thought, you know what, let's just do it live today. And we did, but that is not what we are doing again. That we are not going back to that as a regular
we're not
thing.
Mystery box?
No, I mean
We're not
maybe
mystery box?
maybe every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if it fits the workflow of the day,
Yeah.
then we got to do what we got to do. But it's not like our main.
Yeah, yesterday it just happened that, you know what, this will fit well and give us a good opportunity. So maybe once in a while we will, but we are not going back to the main show being a live show, just so you know. All right, what's next?
From Joe Adonis T. Hey, John, Chris, and Ray. Taylor Sheridan's new show, Lioness, is really good. Have you guys checked it out already? My dad was
No.
telling me about it.
What's it called?
Lioness.
Lioness?
Oh, the one with Zoe.
Saldana.
Well done, yeah.
I got a call yesterday from one of my friends who just said, "Are you watching Lioness?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "It's amazing." So apparently they dropped the show with 2 episodes.
See on a runway somewhere with jets. It's like,
And they they launched with 2 episodes on the same day, and then they just put out their 3rd episode apparently. I'm hearing now it's on Paramount Plus. It's another Paramount show. I'm hearing nothing but amazing things about it. So actually, Anna and I were thinking about sitting down, starting to watch it last night when we got your text message
All right,
saying,
right.
"Let's go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again."
Yeah.
So probably maybe sometime tonight after Meg.
My next series is going to be Hijack. I'm going to start that. I need to start
Dude,
that.
I need you to so we can talk about
Okay.
it. Because,
Didn't it just have its finale?
yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
How many
Because instead I
episodes is
copped
it?
up on movies.
How many episodes are there in that?
9?
9. Okay, that's good. That's doable.
That's the Idris Elba one on Apple TV Plus.
I need a little more push on that. I think my next series is going to be Winning Time.
Oh, I still need to watch
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
well,
you
that-
got to get caught up in that
Need
with the
to
new
watch
season
that.
coming.
I know.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Dr. Stinky. Love y'all. I'm bored, so take my money. Happy birthday, Ray.
Oh, thank
Aw,
you.
thanks,
Belated,
Stinky.
thank you. Look what Chris got me.
Thanks for being
For-
on.
And Chris and Logan, thank you.
What is this? Hang on.
I'm gonna
What?
I'm gonna shoot some pizzas
Oh,
at people
that's
soon.
beautiful.
These guys are gonna go in here. These guys are gonna go in here. And also
This is gonna go in.
these nuts.
We'll also go in the van.
nuts.
All right,
All
what's
right.
next?
Yeah.
We need a nuts break. Come on.
From, obviously. From Purge 30K Pay Pigs. Is Wyatt Russell a good enough actor, in your opinion, to play Batman? He seems to have his father's acting gifts. You say acting comes before looks.
Is that Kurt Russell's son?
Yes, it is Kirkland Captain America from Captain American Winter Soldier.
Oh.
Or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, is he
Yeah.
Captain the
He's
Yeah,
Walmart Captain America.
Oh man, he looks like such a like his face is like so dick.
I here's the problem is I don't have a large enough sample size to know if he can be the lead of a big movie franchise. I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability. I'm saying I haven't seen a large enough sample size to know. So he might be. He might be as good or better of an actor as his dad, but I just haven't seen enough to know. So look, if they announced tomorrow that he was going to be the new Batman, I'd go, okay, cool. Like, so obviously they saw something in him and they know he can be. I just haven't seen enough of him to really have an opinion about it. All right, what's next?
From Jedi Master, one of 3. Haven't seen Riverdale since season 1, but I saw a promo on YouTube about its remaining final episode. In it, Archie said he had superpowers, which I thought was hyperbole, until I found out the characters literally got superpowers when Archie and Betty tore a hole into the multiverse by smashing of a bomb going off. What
Smashing on, I don't know.
Yeah, happened to this show. Oh, I believe that was actually like several seasons ago, my dude.
Yeah, I guess what they were
'Cause
having
Andy
sex
used to-
on a bomb?
They were going to, and a bomb went off, and then they all had
Sex-ba-bomb?
superpowers. Sex-ba-bomb.
Sex-ba-bomb.
Clear sex-ba-bomb. Good reference. But yeah, Riverdale got real weird. I don't know. I think the finale was something with Betty being old and then needing to see her old friends. Somebody tweeted me and something. I haven't watched this show for multiple seasons, so I don't
It's been
know
for
what's
I
happening.
honestly thought it finished months ago. I didn't even know it was still running. So there you go.
Yeah, Sex Court TV, baby.
Sex Court TV coming up
Have a
next.
crossover.
With Jugs Judy.
All right, what's next?
From Bright, giving a $20 super chat. Thank you, Bright. Jedi Master also came up with like 15, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I don't know why, but my hype level for Booster Gold is through the roof. I hope Gunn writes it. Feels right up his wheelhouse.
Well, here's the thing. He better not write it.
Wow.
No, he's
Thanks, Bright.
supposed to be running a studio.
Yeah. You don't want to get him bogged down.
I'm totally good with him. Like we've talked about this before. When a TV show launches, you go out and you get this top-notch director to launch the pilot episode, blah, blah. I get it. Superman Legacy is the first film kicking off the new DCU. You want it to have your fingerprints on it. You want to set the tone. You want to set the direction for this new universe. So get the man to do it. Get James Gunn to come in, write it, direct it. Great. But he's going to have to be very, very picky and selective about when he does that, because running the studio is not a small job. And it demands a lot of attention. Now, thankfully, unlike Kevin Feige, who does Soul, he also has Peter Safran to work with him. But I love James Gunn as a director and a writer. Completely, I do. He's just going to have to do it very, very rarely. I think because if he wants to be a big writer and director in the DCU, well, then step down from the role as the head of DCU. Step down as the role CEO. Let somebody who's going to give their full-time dedication to that job. I'm not saying never do it. I'm not saying never. And I'm totally good on him doing it with Superman Legacy. But there's a reason Kevin Feige isn't also writing and directing and doing whatever with all the different movies, because running the studio is a full-time job. So I hope he doesn't do it too awful much. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. All right. What's next?
From
Joe Adonis.
John Adonis T. Hi, John, Chris, and Ray. John. Okay. With what you're wearing right now, have you heard of any news of its continuation? Sweatshirts?
It's girl that's
What are you wearing?
dragon tattoo.
Girl with dragon
Oh,
tattoo?
okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, well, I don't know what shirts, what is Ray wearing anything? Or?
No, it's the dragon tattoo.
No, but I'll tell you what, I
John,
I
Chris,
really
and Ray.
thought,
John-
and everybody gets mad at me when I say
My brain
this,
so much.
but the Daniel Craig version of it was better than the original. Nobody likes it when I say that, but it was better than the original. And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but I think a lot of it came down to pay scale. I think, did I say Daniel Day-Lewis? I meant Daniel Craig. If I
Daniel
said
Craig. You said Daniel.
Oh, I did? Okay. So with Daniel Craig and Kate Mara's sister, Rooney Mara,
Right.
who I thought, as Elizabeth, I thought she was amazing in it. Not quite as good as, why am I freezing on the actress's name who played it in the original?
Oh, Numi Rapace?
Numi Rapace. I'm not saying she was,
John,
I'm not saying she was better than Numi Rapace
love
was
that
in
you
the
just
original,
impressed yourself
but
so much.
but she was incredible in it. I thought she was fantastic. Skarsgård was in there. I really wish they had continued it, but I haven't heard anything. Then they kind of did a rebooted thing of it with the girl from The Queen.
Oh,
Claire Foy.
Claire Foy, exactly.
I know things too. What's that?
And
nice.
it wasn't great. But I really wish they had continued it. I really, really do. But they didn't. All right, what's next?
All right, final one.
From Devin Lita. Also bummed I was robbed of my birthday present. Craven.
Did they move the date? Was it supposed to be on your birthday?
Aw.
Yeah, they moved it like almost a year.
Oh, that's
They
right.
moved it
Yeah, you're right.
Almost a
Yeah.
year.
It was like
10 months they
when
moved
was it? When was the original date?
Supposed to come out in
next month or something?
October, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was like at the time it was I think 3 months away from us at the time when we reported that, and then it got pushed a year.
Well, and I told you guys, I had heard prior to the writer's strike too, where it was, oh, that movie's not done. We're still getting people called
Really?
in to write things for it and rewrite things.
Because I
Not
heard it was
anymore.
completed.
See, I had heard that too. And then friends of mine were like, oh, no. So-and-so just called to join the writer's room on that. And I was like, whoa, in what world is this movie not finished?
Well, that
So-
would explain, because they had announced also that, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or Beyond the Spider-Verse, I should say, has been delayed indefinitely, right? They just pulled it off the release thing. And that at the same time, they announced Craven was moving 10 months. And at the time, I said, I get it with Spider-Verse because they're just not going to get that done in time. But I was very confused about the Craven angle because, that movie's done.
Yeah.
Why are you moving it a year
That move
so
is crazy.
close to the release date?
Yeah. Because at first, when I heard there were potentially rewrites or something of that, and that it's truly speculation, y'all. It's just something I heard about a friend who's a writer in the industry. I thought it was maybe the kind of boy situation that Kripke talks about of, oh, yeah, we just kind of connect some dots. We make sure we do all this and make sure the plot points make sense in ADR. But with the 10-month push, it feels like it's a much bigger issue. And then, again, my source was like, it's kind of a shit show over here. So I don't know how much validity there is to that, but
Well, look
Just
on the bright
rumor
side. Look on the bright side. If his birthday's October and Craven's not there anymore, I believe the PS5 Spider-Man 2 game is coming out. So hopefully you have a.
So you'll have
you have
that.
You'll have that.
I will say this, though. I will take this as actually being a little bit encouraging. And here's why. I'm going to go back to the Brad Pitt movie, World War Z. A movie that, based on a very popular book.
great book.
People were looking forward to it. They had basically finished the movie, and they realized this movie's not very good. And according to the studio itself, they went back and reshot 75% of the movie.
Oh, really?
Which I'd never heard, maybe Solo, but I'd never heard of a movie being that much redone. But the result was actually quite a good movie. I thought it's not the greatest zombie movie of all time, but I thought
liked
World
it.
War Z was actually quite good. And very different from the book, but it was a good movie. If Sony is going yeah, we could have had the movie done here, we could have wrapped it up, but you know what? We are learning a lesson from Morbius. And we're going to learn a lesson from Spider-Verse. Because we put out a great movie with Into the Spider-Verse, and now we've been able to build on that with Across the Spider-Verse. That movie has made us almost $700 million at the box office. You know what? If we can make movies more like that, instead of Morbius, instead of saying this thing's good enough, we're going to invest the money and we're going to invest the time and we're going to make sure we make this movie better than the version we have right now. Hey, it sucks that they got to do that, and it sucks we got to wait another year to get Craven. But if that's the takeaway, that Sony's looked at and said, this is not good enough, I would rather them say that than say, good enough. Put it out. Because it tells me they might have learned a lesson or two from Morbius. And if that's the case, then that's a pretty good sign. It's something to be encouraged by. But I don't know. We'll find out. All right. Guys, with that down, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and making the show part of your day. This big special thank you to everybody who sent in those tip links and super chats. Number one, you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported what we do here, and all of us involved. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Yeah.
Jonathan
See you
Voico,
tomorrow.
Chris Carr.
Bye, guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.